Hi, it's Mark Owen from Moose Marketing and PR, the editor of Punchline Magazine, and welcome to Punchline Talks, the business breakfast briefers, where each week I invite a panel of experts to review the morning newspapers, find out what's going on in the business sector and their own individual businesses, and finally, what's caught their eye in this week's Punchline. Before I start the show, I'd just like to ask you, if you enjoy it, please like, share, and subscribe. So let's go and meet the guests. And here they are. We've got Phil Vickery, owner of Raging Bull Clothing and No3 Restaurant, non-executive director of Creed Food Service. He's also England World Cup winner. He's a legend on the rugby course, a legend in the kitchen with MasterChef winner, and he's a fantastic sourdough maker as well. Is that a big enough build-up, Phil?
I think that's one of the best build-ups you've ever done there, Mark. Thanks you.
Thanks very much. I managed to do it all in one breath as well. Followed on, it's very difficult. We've got Liam Evans, assistant principal at South Gloucestershire and Stroud College. Stroud College, they have 5 sites, employ 1,000 people with a turnover of 35 to 40 million. And just like to say, Liam actually started in the marketing department, didn't you, Liam? And you've worked your way up to where you are now. Congratulations on that as well, mate. And we've got Hayley Parker, director and co-founder of Box Limited, started in the pandemic and have grown to be a really successful company with 5 staff. So welcome, Hayley. And finally, and not last, we've got Neill, Ricketts, CEO of Vickery, or was it his brother Dave? Put the wig back on, mate. Anyway, let's quickly rattle through the newspapers while Neill gets his Dave persona on.
Can't be Neill because he's appeared on this show far too many times, Mark.
Yeah, well, we're always scraping the barrel. Anyway, right, thank you very much. Western Daily Press, West jockey by one dangerously bullied. There's the headline there. The Citizen newspaper, 2.2 million boost for affordable housing. That's on St. Oswald's. We ran that story this week. Behind Tesco, the Times newspaper, poll blow for Tories as trust in Johnson falls. Not a big surprise. The Daily Telegraph, Lord Garnett on the brink of quitting after PM's flat. The story that really grabs me on the front page of the Telegraph actually is big businesses vow to keep offices open. They're basically ignoring what the government advice there is. Dozens of Tory MPs to revolt over Plan B, says The Guardian. Also, Johnson accused of misleading watchdog over flat redecoration. The Daily Mail, Tories Plan B, mutiny. This is led by our very own Mark Harper and Sir Geoffrey Clifton Brown. We got The Sun, WFP. You know what that means? Work from the pub. I quite like that idea. Here we go. The Daily Mirror, Downing Street flat scandal. Another day, another lie, says, funny enough, the Mirror. And the Daily Star, the one I love the most. The tills are alive with the sound of music. Apparently, you don't have to wear a mask if you sing in a shop. Right, anyway, let's get the ball, let's get the show on the road. Neill, what would you like to start with, sir?
Well, obviously, one of the big stories is masks. So don't forget where you can get your masks from. Vickery doing a cracking job there with a really great mask. The next story was off The Citizen, where county council bosses blame COVID for the state of the roads. Managed to smash a wheel the other day going down to Gloucester. Was not very happy about that. We also have this massive asteroid heading towards us, which hopefully we might be able to see in the next few days, although I'd rather not see it if possible.
What are you on about? You want to see the asteroid?
It's a large asteroid heading towards Earth. Have you not heard about this?
I know I haven't, really. The Sun newspaper, it's got to be true. It's that fantastic publication, Gloucestershire Live. An asteroid bigger than the Eiffel Tower, worth 3.5 billion and traveling at 15,000 miles per hour. As if we haven't had enough this year with Brexit and COVID and pandemic and now going back into
I think I'm right.
We've got an asteroid heading towards us.
I was saying, Neil, I think a couple of weeks ago there was something on the news. They were doing a space launch to practice putting either blowing up an asteroid in case of future, because the world's going to end. They're actually practicing blowing up potential hazardous asteroids.
Just coincidence, Phil. Purely coincidence.
Well, I don't know that it is. I was just wondering whether Viserion were making anything to do with perhaps that at all, or whether that's in the future pipeline.
Can't say, Phil. I'll tell you what, Elon's in a mad rush to get off the planet, and there's an asteroid headed towards us. I've got you down to play in Armageddon again. So, I can see that being a career step for you there, Phil. Put your name in a hat. Idris Elba or Phil Vickery as the lead in blowing up this asteroid.
I'm in.
Movie star onto the title of your intro, Phil, because I don't think any of us could beat your intro that Mark gave.
Yeah, he didn't mention about my time spent on the bench at Drybrook RFC. I'm disappointed, Mark. I'm not, feeling inadequate at all. But you probably in at the last minute.
I'm very sorry I let that down. Okay, Neill, one more story then. Wrap that up.
One more story. The biggest story that I could find was the guys at Cinderford Cinema. They've uncovered the 100-year-old arch and the most fantastic cinema in the county, if not the country. And it's looking fantastic. The guys are still working hard despite all the challenges. And I think, to be honest, that personifies business at the moment. Is you've got two options: give up or double down, work harder, and try to get to the other side. And I think those guys that get to the other side, they're going to get the rewards, but it's going to be a long old slog.
No, couldn't say. And as an engineer, just want to say, mates, something wrong with your earphones there. Again, it keeps, or microphone is rubbing, and every now and then we get a bit of disturbance. So just to flag that up. Anyway, let's move on to Phil. Thanks ever so much, Neill. Phil, great for you to, not great for you to join this show. It's great for us that you joined this show. What's caught your eye in the newspapers, please?
I think Neill has touched on a few things, but for me, we talked about on Primark opening in Gloucester. How long we've been talking about that, the old BHS store. So it's fantastic to see that finally being given some life. I know you had some struggles on the day with your interviews, and not perhaps someone that wouldn't be interviewed, which I think actually we won't talk about because you'll get upset about it. But great PR for the city. We keep talking about it, but just great news. And I am going to pop on it because I am in the Forest of Dean. Great to see at Cinderford and what the Bell family are doing with the new training school with Excel. And I know other people want to touch on that, but I just think for me, being part of this county and wanting to inspire next generations and keep people in our great county as well, and being proud of where we live, we have to start educating. We have to start making people feel valued. And I know that coming from restaurant and thinking about staffing and a little bit like what Neill said, lots of things which for me have arisen because of this pandemic actually were happening anyway. And I think it's making us all think about it and actually value the most simplest of things. And just to the very point of suddenly having to value chefs, having to value front of house staff, waiters, delivery drivers, all those people, builders, all those people that you kind of took for granted are suddenly now, wow, we haven't got them. We need to start energizing that. And I just think I know it's not a specific story, but I think that for me is a really wonderful message to be sending, actually, not just out to the county, but out to the rest of the country. But actually, this is what we're doing in Gloucestershire, working in partnership, using funding and monies from the LEP. Yes, I know, but actually partnering with businesses, because, one of the negatives of this week, and talk about headlines and news, number 10 Downing Street, whether you're Conservative, Labour, Lib Dem, whatever it is, I'm not really that interested. But what it has done for me is made me realise actually the only people really who are going to get us out of this country actually is us. Because I think what's happening as far as leadership and as far as even recently with I know I said I wouldn't talk too much, but even with what's happened with the next Plan B or whatever it is, it's absolutely shambolic that a government can bring out regulations and rules with no plan, no real strategy. It's up to us businesses. We're the ones who've got to deal with it. And we're out there day to day trying to make a difference. And we are the people who are going to get us out of it. It's not Boris Johnson and his crew at the moment in Downing Street, I just think are just totally off the wall. So that's my partially political broadcast over. But I think that should drive us, and seeing what all you guys and girls are doing in the county is inspiring. We need to inspire each other.
I think I totally agree.
That's the easiest £10 I've ever won in my life, because for someone who wasn't going to talk it at all, that was a good speech there, Phil. I'm right behind you.
Right. Anyway, thanks ever so much for that, Phil. Liam, thanks ever so much for joining us today. No, I meant Liam. Sorry, I meant go to Hayley.
I was
Hayley.
ready then.
Phil, how do we deal with these amateurs? We had a running order here.
Hayley, what have you picked out for the papers, please?
Well, actually, a couple of things that Phil has said, I completely agree with. Actually, I found it hard to try and find anything in the papers that wasn't kind of going on about all of the issues there are in government, the rules which are absolutely ridiculous. So let's tell everybody to work from home, but do you know what? You can go to a Christmas party, and it's all about trying to save the economy, but actually it's going the other way. It's just not supporting businesses that now need the help because everybody's pulling out. So I'm quite difficult to find things. I kind of thought I'm going to go the other side and I'm going to try and find some funny stories or some stories that might make people smile. And I found in the Eye about the camels in Saudi Arabia that are getting Botox, which I found quite interesting. And yeah, so apparently there is a contest and a load of camels have been disqualified because of Botox treatment and making them look, which by all accounts is a common thing out there. So I thought that was quite a funny story that might just kind of
are they Botoxing them to get rid of wrinkles or give them?
Yeah, kind of. The headline is Camel Beauty Contestants Face Botox Lockdown, Botox Crackdown, and it is about in the contest they are having their lips done, they are having their faces plumped, you name it, the camel is getting it.
You just need to be careful there, Hayley, because you might upset Neill, because I know he's partial to the odd Botox, so he might start getting upset.
I've started going to the same surgery as Mark, to be fair. You know, it's but I've asked me money back. But
thanks very much for that, Hayley. I'm just going to quickly we go to Liam. Liam, what have you picked out, please, mate?
Yes, I've got a couple of stories related to education. So obviously, I work within that sector. So on page 7 of the Telegraph this morning, the headline, entire year group sent back home to learn, and the education secretary saying that, you know, that shouldn't be the case. And I think, you know, I'd agree with that. You know, certainly from our perspective, I think there's a bigger picture here, you know, in terms of mental health for young people. So all the feedback that we've been receiving from learners is that not being on site, it damages their ability to learn effectively, and it furthers that mental health drain that we're seeing with a lot of young people. So I think for me, it's a big thing getting, you know, young people within the classroom. And I think, you know, schools and colleges, you know, SGS, we've successfully delivered and maintained on-site delivery, not without its challenges. But, you know, I think it's an absolutely crucial thing to maintain. And I think, you know, when we look at the mental health challenges that exist for young people, I think it's a collective effort from everyone in society now, just to make sure that life chances are not missed. And I think just to recognise the importance schools and colleges play in that part of what we do within society. I think a final point now, and it comes from the National Education Union, is about the staffing crisis. And I know Matt Burgess touched upon this last week. You know, I think we found it in terms of trying to get supply staff, agency staff, or just recruit at the moment is incredibly difficult. So I do sympathise with what, you know, the schools are going through. But for me, and certainly from us as a college, and for the best, you know, aims for young people, I think, you know, maintaining that on-site delivery and keeping schools open is crucial. And I absolutely hope that in the new year, you know, that the government doesn't move again and, you know, try and flip things to online learning, because I think that is a real negative.
I mean, it must be an absolute nightmare trying to budget and trying to do what you're doing as well, let alone recruitment of staff. Yeah. It's absolutely crazy. It
you know, in all honesty, you know, the last 2 years, it's like having two jobs. You know, you've got your COVID job, and then you've got your, you know, your day-to-day teaching or support role, and it's incredibly challenging. But, you know, we're there as a service to young people, you know, and I think that's what drives you on to try and, you know, get through that, and to think logically about how to achieve that, working within government guidance, and obviously safety is a priority. But I think, you know, you can't lose that importance for the young people, and I think, you know, that's a crucial aspect of what we do, and that's our job. So, you know, I think we have to aim to do that.
I mean, you've got 5 sites as well. It must be, you know, people that you can open, mate.
It was, let's say that we got a DFE guidance last year, I think 2 days before we closed for Christmas, And that was in line with setting up test centres at all campuses, so that we could test on site. So yeah, it was a bit of a different Christmas last year, should we say? But that's how it can be sometimes with the government guidance. I
Okay,
think
thanks. Before we'll give you one more story, and then we'll quickly go over to Neill because he's got to go.
Yeah, but really quickly, the second story is on page 21 of The Guardian. Black children least likely to be active, says Sport England. And it's saying in their latest survey of activity, 36% of black boys met healthy guidelines. However, they weren't sort of engaging as they should do within sport. And that's an interesting thing. And I think, for me, it highlights the disparity of life opportunities that still exist that are based on race or background. I mean, the article it's lacking solutions, but we hear about leveling up agenda. We hear about targeting specific areas of the country, but leveling up shouldn't be about a particular area. It's about society as a whole. It's about equal life chances that exist for all young people. So I think Phil's obviously been involved in sport. I think sport plays a massive part in that development. In certainly with lower socioeconomic areas. And I think it's looking at what schools, colleges, professional clubs with their community programs do, just to find solutions to these particular groups that suffer, to try and give them that opportunity, because we know that sport presents plenty of opportunities that then allow them to go further.
But I think for me there, Leo, you've touched on something really important. I mean, yes, I went on to play elite professional sport, but ultimately I set out in sport not to be that. I set out in sport because I love being with my friends. But more importantly, I represented my local area. I wanted to be part of my local club, and that sense of belonging, that sense of feeling that you're part of something. So when we talk about well-being, when we talk about all the things which you have, that sport has never been more important and interesting. We were talking about this exact thing. I was having a right rant last night on a table at an event in London, talking just to guys and girls, not on show, about this word leveling up. And I get so frustrated about this word level. It's a politician's throwaway comment. Let's level up everywhere in my village, in our town, where we live. It's not north, south, east, west divide. And that ultimately the challenge around particularly my sport, which I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about all sports, but particularly rugby, is we have to engage people. Society has changed. My game will die out if it doesn't change, because the way people live is changing, but we can still celebrate that. And if that means playing touch and tag or walk rugby or mixed rugby with no scrums, no contact, then so be it. But my point is just getting people out, getting people exercise. You're engaging, you're creating relationships, friendships, you're networking, talking to business owners, leaders, creating opportunities for yourself. That's what sport did for me. And I think, but yet we don't talk about that. We don't promote that and how powerful that can be. I mean, in your role and what I see, I mean, I've got a daughter who's 16, who's just started her A-levels. The thought of her not potentially being able to go into school, and the online learning is brilliant and it's fantastic, but it's her relationship with her friends and the learning and that environment where you're bouncing ideas off of each other and people do help. And it sounds silly, but it's such a powerful thing. And these are the leaders and the business owners and entrepreneurs and people who are going to fire our country forward. It's not about us. It's all those girls and boys that we've got to push on and encourage and promote. And I just don't think current government decision makers really think like that. It's just so, I think it's just so sad. I get really frustrated by it.
It's funny you should say that, because I've actually, a very close friend of mine is a PCO, and they're trying to help here in Barton Street to put together a football team. And would you believe it, they couldn't get the money anyway. So I was out for a drink with him. So I'm actually going to help sponsor this football team. And the idea is that they're all from different ethnic minority backgrounds, and all trying to help them to glue together, to mix together, but also, like you've just said, give them a purpose, give them sport, make friends with each other.
Exactly, Martin. It's not about becoming a professional. It's not about, if you don't get to such and such as a failure, it's just about creating friendships through sport, whatever that sport or activity is, chess club, card club, dance, what doesn't matter. But the more we can do that, the impact that we can have on people, I think is, well, you can't really measure that. And it's not about someone sat in an office somewhere and creating and making decisions and wanting to say, actually, if we do this, we do that. It's about us, about people, and creating our own momentum. And I'm hugely passionate about that. And I think that can be done. We live in such a wonderful part of the world. We've got so much wonderful heritage, great businesses, great people, great countryside. Let's really show people what we can do.
No, thanks ever so much. Totally agree. And Neill's got to go very shortly. Neill, Viserion, before you rush off,
15 minutes to go, Mark, but
I know
still got on his speech.
Come on, mate. You've got 2 minutes to.
Just on that point, Phil, we are doing some trials for Drybrook walking rugby. I'll put your name forward. I can't guarantee you'll make it though, okay? But
well, listen, I guarantee you'll be on the bench. That's all I need to know.
Neill, very quickly, Viserion, you got it into concrete, you get it into tarmac, you got it into super dry clothing. What's next, mate?
To be honest, we're focusing on those. We've got concrete we're working on at the moment. I'd love to invite you down and see some concrete being poured. But it's just hell for leather on every front at the moment. Everything seems to be getting thrown at us. But we've taken the decision as a team to double down and get on with it. So we'll be doing everything we can to move forward on automotive, aerospace, packaging. But we've got to see the sales there. So that's what we're concentrating on.
Okay, thanks ever so much. Thanks for joining us today, Neill. You're always a fantastic guy, super sub. I'll see you very shortly. Thank
you very much, everyone.
Thanks, Neill.
Thanks, Neill.
Bye, Neill.
Hayley, so let's talk about your business, Opsbox. You started the company. I remember reading it 18 months ago and thinking, oh my God, you and Richard are completely bonkers. They've just done the lockdown. They would just go, and then you started the company. Now you're 5 staff. You're got an offices where? West
End, yeah, just outside Stonehouse, just off the M5.
What would be the number one thing that you would say to people if you look back of what you and Richard have achieved? What would be the one thing that goes, actually, I would change this, or we would have done that, or?
Well, I wouldn't launch a business in a pandemic, but I didn't plan that. You've done all of this planning, and all of a sudden, the week before you launch, boom. So launching a business online was, I'm not going to say it was easy. But actually, the key thing of that was we had a plan. So even though we had to change and, move things around a little bit, I think if we hadn't have had that, actually, it would have been much more, it would have been much more difficult. We were able to kind of crack on with some things at the start of the pandemic. People were generally at home. Some people had never worked from home before, so they were willing to have Zoom calls very much more easily than it would have been to actually go and see people. So in one respect, it probably helped. People are beyond zoomed out now. We all are. Nobody wants to do stuff online. They want to be together. So I think this time round, working from home, everybody's used to it, but I think everybody's probably quite flat about it. So I would just say, have a plan, but be prepared to change that plan and act really quickly, and get on with what you need to do. Don't kind of drown in your, tears or whatever. You just need to crack on, have a plan, twist it, change it, but remember what the end goal is.
And what about Opsbox next then? What's your plan for this next year?
Continue doing more of what we're doing, really. So we'd like to build the team a little bit further. So you'll see us grow a bit more next year. Ultimately, we want to support more businesses. So for us, it's going to be really a business development focus next year. Get our message out a little bit more. So we know we're very clear on our offering. We're very clear on our partners. Now it's about being able to support more businesses across the county.
Okay, thanks ever so much, Hayley, and congratulations to you and Richard. I know how hard you guys have worked at it as well. Inspirational is what I'd call it. Liam, let's go quickly back over to you, mate. The college.
Yeah.
Okay. We touched on it very, very briefly, but what's next? What's going to happen next year?
So 2 priorities: getting to Christmas break safely and then reopening safely. I touched on that before. We're doing some work with Siobhan Bailey, MP for Stroud, and actually Siobhan, I know, is obviously the Conservative member of Parliament, but is a huge supporter of the college and further education, and she's trying to facilitate a visit in the new year of Alex Burghardt, who's the Minister for Skills. So that's going to allow us to showcase further education in the region, provision at the Stroud campus, it's got a long history of providing, vocational provision. Got the Stroud School of Art, Envy here and Beauty Salons, Construction Academy. We offer, a really diverse set of vocational courses. Another thing, and this is the really important point, is it's going to present the opportunity for us to discuss the skills and post-16 education bill. Now, if you're not within the sector, you probably don't understand what that is, but T levels have been introduced that ultimately are looking to, compete with what would be the traditional A levels, but they're looking to phase out the level 3 vocational qualifications on the back of that. Now, by defunding those qualifications, you're going to strip back the opportunities and choice for a lot of young people, because they're quite difficult to get onto a T level because of the academic rigor that sits behind, the application process. And there's a real concern, that those at a lower level, they'll have less choice, and they actually might drop out of education completely because there won't be an opportunity that exists. So I think, for us to have the skills minister on site will be really important with Siobhan to try and lobby on that side of things. The other thing that is really important, and both Phil and Hayley have touched upon it with the opening of the construction school in Cinderford, is the green skills agenda. Now, Siobhan raised a question on this in Parliament yesterday, I believe, because current full-time provision in that area is probably about 3 years behind where it needs to be. If we're looking to educate and train young people in the skills within this area, you always hear about the green skills agenda. We've obviously had COP26, but actually a lot of the qualifications, they don't include retrofitting. They don't include a lot of non-traditional construction-based skills. We are never going to get there unless we've got young people who can actually, deliver what they're asking.
I mean, that's really interesting, Liam, because actually, on one hand, we're saying, let's level up the country. On the other hand, we're saying, we're really short of key roles within, all communities. And then actually, let's take away investment and funding that's going to enable people to have opportunity for roles that the country needs and are becoming more and more of a shortage. So I think, Phil, it absolutely goes back to what you said. It's local communities that are going to make the difference, because it's not coming from a central source. So things like Excel are so important. Things like skills-based learning through colleges are really, really important. I'm going to stop because I will get on my hobby horse a bit like Phil did. It's just, I'm very much.
The thing is, though, I met a guy the other day. Well, he's actually fitting my vinyl on our floor in our bathroom. Okay, and he got taught that it's a very specialist thing, and he even went on a college course to learn how to do that and learn all about the different glues. I don't think they kind of do that anymore because the money's not available. So how do you? Not everyone can go to university. There are kids who struggle academically, but they could be. I didn't go to university. I made a successful.
But I think, Mark, that the issue for me goes back to us again. So, coming from the restaurant and seeing the girls and boys there, and until we start valuing those jobs and actually giving them real meaning as far as in the standing of world, whereas I've just seen a delivery driver go past my place now. All of a sudden we are starting to value delivery drivers, whereas 18 months ago there'll be white van man or white van woman or chefs or what. When was the last time that you went to a restaurant? I know it's different for you because you're from a hospitality background, but I challenge everyone listening here. When was the last time they poked their head around the corner into a kitchen of a restaurant or a pub and just said, thanks very much, that was awesome? Yeah. And I know we're not talking about the educating and the training bit there, but actually until we start giving those jobs real value and what they stand for in society, within our families and our groups and where we live and in our local areas, then it will always be a challenge. But we can control that, and it's about, for me, it's about mindset. And I'm with you on the university. University is fantastic, but university is not for everybody. Learning skills or the skill sets, and you'll get me going again about the COP26 and all that stuff. What's really happened from that? What in reality to the girls and boys who are actually going to be trying to implement these things? What has really happened? Absolutely nothing.
No, and Phil, will have to be another show, mate, because we're kind of running out
so
of time, unfortunately. No, it's okay. Just going to quickly whip through what you picked out from this week's punchline. I'll start with you, Phil, then Liam, and finish on Hayley. So what's caught your eye, then, Phil, in this week's punch?
Just for me, punchline is just a bit about Gloucester, about the Primark, really, and about those things. Just about trying to be positive about the city, start the ball rolling. It's sadly there's a lot of negativity in the news. It's just trying to pull out those positive bits and pieces which actually are going on. So it's
there's some great stuff in Gloucester. There's a new Vietnamese restaurant that's just opened.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and those young guys. I mean, not being funny. Look, I thought he was 15. A guy, he's 33.
Did I read as well? I picked up on a headline about the first inland shrimp farm somewhere going on.
That's right. Yeah, that's two chefs in Cheltenham. They're looking to. Yeah, what a great idea.
I know, it's unbelievable, isn't it?
But people start all sorts of businesses in pandemics. I mean, you set up No3. Hayley set up Opsbox. There we go. I just want to quickly, Liam, what's caught your eye in this week's punchline, please, mate?
We've already covered it because it was opening of the construction school in Cinderford, and echo what Phil was saying about the importance of that and the link with industry. I think that's great. The other, just quickly, was the sort of comment piece yesterday on the back of the introduction of Plan B, about the hospitality sector, and obviously Phil, is heavily immersed in that. But I agree with some of the, it shouldn't be political. I work for a college, but what that leaves a lot of businesses within after the challenges of the last 2 years and what they're expected to sort of maneuver to now, especially with Christmas coming up, is incredibly difficult. And I think my sympathies, be that the right emotion, is with them, because it's just incredibly hard. And some people, that's their livelihood that they put 20-30 years into, that might be going out the window over this next sort of 6 to 12 months. And
it's not just their life, Liam, it's not just their livelihoods, it could be their marriages, it could be breakups of families. It's it really is desperate times. If they don't make the money now in December, key time for them, they're not going to have that cash in the bank to get them through January and February and March, which is the lead. Well, Phil knows this, and obviously Hayley, you do as well.
It's just going to be so difficult. I mean, the problem is not about blame. It's just we can sit and argue about rights and wrongs, but ultimately it's happening, and there will sadly be individuals, like you said, families, relationships, businesses, heritage, which won't survive, which will not survive. We'll never get it back.
No,
and it's just so sad. But we all have to support each other or help each other out. And I think that's, for me, one of the real positives of all this terrible, tragic loss and negativity has actually been for us at No3. People supported us. Yes, we've had to deliver product and deliver, on what we say we're going to do, and from a food, from a service point of view. I have loved and been inspired by people's support and their continued support. And I think that, without being too insular, I think that has really given me hope for the future. And when we talked this morning about, individuals that were us guys and girls that are on here, but actually, we are an innovative group. We do have a can-do attitude. And that's what I said to the guys at restaurant, because we've been best foot forward. What can we do? Find solutions. Hayley touched on it earlier on. It was brilliant, about your plan, but having to be able to move quickly. People supported us because they've seen people trying to do the right things and actually wanting to do the right things, and people supported that. I take a huge amount of pride and confidence from that. It doesn't change the realities, but people do want to support and help each other, and I think that for me is something which is really important, because and I'm, you know me, Mark, and I am an emotional person, and I do enjoy relationships. It does mean something to me, and I think that has brought people closer together. I think we must never lose sight of that and help each other out.
No, I totally agree, and I couldn't be more thankful to the guys that have advertised us with us, who've stuck with us all this time, who've spent their money, and we've tried to deliver what you said, deliver an audience, deliver the news, and for that I'll always be extremely grateful to everybody, really. Hayley, let's finish off with the story that you picked out in this week's punchline, please.
Yeah, I guess first of all, I would just Gloucester is a great county, and I would say all businesses do support one another, and I think that's something that we have really special in Gloucestershire. And for me, it has to be XL. It's to kind of, I was fortunate enough to be on Punchline with Nicola last time I was on, and what they have achieved is just phenomenal. It's great for the Forest of Dean. It's kind of putting it on the map. It's great for Gloucestershire. It's great for the industry. And that needs to be sing, dance. You've also got women that are leading that company, and they're doing a really good thing about actually getting women into construction as part of what they're doing. I couldn't be more proud to see that, more proud of what they're doing, and also of that being in Gloucestershire. I think it's amazing for us and for the county.
No, I totally agree. I'm going to finish off on a light note. There's a piece in the Sun today. There's a crucifixion in a tangerine. There's also a story in the Sun. Oh, for God's sake, trees top half too high to be decorated. Basically, it's too big. Health and safety won't let the council guys climb up there and fix it. And the final thing, again in the Sun, Bond exec stream row. Amazon, who have now owned the rights to James Bond, are looking for spin-off shows. I can't wait to catch the first episode of Moneypenny and what she's up to. And with that, I'd just like to thank you all for joining Punchline Talks. If you enjoy the show, please like, share and subscribe. And hopefully we'll have a very safe Christmas. See you all soon. Thanks ever so much. Bye.